Bianca, is it not funny and ludicrous that the enemies your father saw, your husband saw, stood his ground, confronted to the best of his ability, sacrificing his riches, his wealth, which he was born into, have come around to use you to mock your husband and your father's kinsmen. The enemies, after the Nigerian Biafran Civil War, after so many years, different media houses tried chatting up Yakubu Gowon, the then head of state who led the war. They were asking him different questions, but the most striking of all his responses was, if I had known what I know today, I wouldn't have gone into that war. Some people thought he said that because he's regretting going into the war. But no, some said, oh, because now he said he's a pastor. No, he didn't stop there. He completed the statement. He said, because there wouldn't have been need for that much higi-haga, that much stress and that much loss of life, that I would have looked around for one or two Igbo people, give them money, probably appointments as well. They will go home and betray their brothers, so there wouldn't have been need for that. As if that's not enough, Sheikh Gunmi, an Islamic cleric, this year or last year said, needless of sending too much troops to the eastern Nigeria, the southeast, when we know the buttons to press. Look around for Igbo people, Igbo youths. Give them guns, arm them very well, and allow them do the dirty job. Bianca, what else do you want? The amounts of wealth Ojukwu willed to you against the rest of his family members, his children, it stirred up a lot of conversation and controversy. It called for so much legal battle and litigations. At the end of the day, you still are the one to enjoy a lot of his wealth. Why the desperation for power? You are the first lady amongst first ladies. What do you still want? Getting Simon Ekpa, don't you know that you are telling the world that my husband is a terrorist or was a terrorist? If you succeed in helping them indict Simon Ekpa like you have ventured into already, don't you think that what aggression your husband led, because they called it aggression but it was defense, it took over 3 million lives. Simon Ekpa never led any people into, he only encouraged the Biafran people. This ideology he's navigating was that which was started by your husband. Your husband was alive. He did not discourage Owazurike, he encouraged him. Owazurike also confronted the enemies. And your husband the man who was living, and you were married to him, he stood his ground, still protected Owazirike when there was need for that. When Peter Obi was facing castigation, the husband roared sometime around, was it 2004 so? He still made a threat. It is there in the newspapers. He referred to the Biafran war. If Simon Ekpa is a terrorist, your husband is the leader of the terrorists. Your children are the children of a leader of terrorists. Don't you know all this? You have allowed the enemy to use you to indict your husband and his kinsmen. You are not aware of that? Join me, lovers of freedom, as we go into the discussion for today, as we will be dwelling our conversation today around Bianca Ojukwu and the act of sabotage she allowed herself to carry against her own people. Let us go there. Thank you.
And again, Bonya Kaligani Nekare, all the Amrendi go the way to it. Then saw now what years ago, Krihana Pisel and the blood in Jokin were born unknown, Bundanatum or Lebanon, and Hanunas and instruction again. Our march is very, very near. The enemies are trembling, they are quaking, they are doing all they can to try to stop us. But they have failed very woefully. And they will continue to fail. But
all right, welcome back. Our lovely sister and the wife of a terrorist leader, Chief Tim Chukwuemeka Ojukwu. Yes, he is not. But you are making yourself one, the wife of a terrorist leader. Our own Chief Tim is never. He's a lovable man who has so much love for his people. So, if you say your husband is a terrorist by calling the people who continued his agenda terrorists and helping the enemy to get them, you are admitting that you are the wife of a terrorist leader and your children are children of a terrorist leader. But there is something you need to help us understand. Why is it that Ojukwu brought you into his life, tied the knot on the month of November, and Ojukwu left this world on the month of November? A coincidence? This coincidence never happened with the dates of his first, second, third wives. I don't mean any harm. But then, 1983, Chief Barrister Christian Chukwuma Unu became a governor of the old Anambra. 83. By 83, Ojukwu was already done with his big days in power. Ojukwu was already established politically, militarily. He was of bigger influence already. But that doesn't... we can also begin to even look around to say, oh, Ojukwu was a man who had some good eyes on Chief Mrs. Caroline. That is not necessary. We're not going there. But let us go into the real issue. We're talking of Bianca's mother and Ojukwu before eventually Bianca. But I was only trying to point to what one would see as a smell of desperation or desperation. My mother, and this man, some kukere, myself. I think that's at 23, and this 55. A woman who is not really desperate wouldn't have accepted certain things. Or do you think, I don't mean any harm, let us go into the program. It's okay, let's leave this very unimportant part. Let's go into the program of the day. So, all right, fellow dear friends, I am Ekpa Sokwo, the Biafran Radical Freedom TV, coming your way today. I want us to think or to talk about Bianca Ojukwu and her act of betrayal and the stabbing of our veteran Chief Dim Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu in the back, and the whole of Biafran people whom the man Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu lived his life for. What do you think about everything Bianca have been doing in the recent time? Allowing herself to be used? Let us talk about it in details. All right.
What do you think he would have thought of Nnamdi Kanu if he were alive today?
Well, he's very democratic in nature, actually. Hazarding a guess, I imagine he probably would have wanted to engage with him and discuss with him and perhaps share a few of his own experiences with him and leave him to make up his mind.
Bianca, we have always wanted to avoid addressing you. We have done that because of our respect for our patron, our father, Chief Dim, who is your husband. We do this because of his commitment, his love for us. Because we respect him, it is a point of duty to all of us to extend that respect to you and to his entire family, to the children of his first wife, second, third, and yourself. We all acknowledge your astonishing beauty. We respect the love he has for you, he had for you. We respect his lovely family. But we want to ask you a question. Did Chief Mrs. Caroline Chinwenu of blessed memory, who happened to be your beloved mother, did you ever, as you were growing up and today you are adults, did you ever hear where Chief Mrs. Uno Caroline do or did a thing in contrast or in variance to the will of her husband? That there is no history of that where Chief Mrs. Caroline Chinwenu Uno, your mother of blessed memory, went against the will, against the values of her husband. Today, everything you seem to be doing is opposite what the standpoint, the beliefs, the values of your husband are. I used this same platform, tried to defend you some 5-6 months ago. A lot of our people were getting pissed off by your act of betrayal. It was an absolute sabotage, which are directly against what your husband, our warlord, our veteran, stand for. Before I go forward, I want my brothers, my sisters, my fellow lovers of freedom, all seekers of justice, people of balanced view, people of balanced mind, people of positive mindset, whether of northern Nigeria, whether of southern western Nigeria, whether of eastern Nigeria, wherever, who are watching me, to hear you speak in an interview and also in a media chat. Please, lovers of freedom, join me as we listen to Bianca. From there, we continue our words of caution and advice to our beloved sister Bianca, irrespective of how much you've stabbed us. Let us watch her.
What do you think he would have thought of Nnamdi Kanu if he were alive today?
Well, he's very democratic in nature, actually. In hazarding a guess, I imagine he probably would have wanted to engage with him and discuss with him and perhaps share a few of his own experiences with him and leave him to make up his mind.
All right. You heard the interviewer or the man in the media chat with her.
What do you think
This man
he would have thought of Nnamdi Kanu if
What
he
do you
were...
think Ojukwu would have thought of Mazin Nnamdi Kanu? How do you think Ojukwu would have taken Mazin Nnamdi Kanu? Would Ojukwu have stabbed Nnamdi Kanu in the back? Would Ojukwu have betrayed Nnamdi Kanu? And remember, as at 2000, early 2000, when Owazirike, Chief Raf Owazirike, was championing the cause of Biafran agitation, Ojukwu never sent him. But it was the spirit that possessed Ojukwu, which after Ojukwu was getting aged, that looked for or sought for another man with the spirit. The spirit located another man, entered another man. This man was Owazirike. What did Ojukwu think of Owazirike? How did Ojukwu take Owazirike? There are occasions where Ojukwu came forth to defend Owazirike. Although at this point he has given up. Age wasn't on his side, but he was always supporting Owazirike, protected Owazirike. Today, Bianca was asked this question. The man was asking Bianca this question, looking at what Bianca's actions and attitude has become lately. According to Nezi, one of the best female Nigerian story narrators and content creator, she replied, or she, on eulogizing Bianca, said something to defend Bianca. She said something like, Bianca didn't sit back to beg. She had to work hard. And her working hard to Nezavi was accepting appointments from the Nigerian state, no matter how and the intention of this appointment. The most recent appointment from the Nigerian state to Bianca was or is the one that had to sack Bianca's own sister. It's not as if more or additional appointment was given to Bianca's own region. No. A sister of Bianca was sacked and Bianca was appointed, thereby maintaining just the normal 5 appointments in the region. The normal 5 appointments to each state, those mandatory. Ministerial appointments, let's be specific. Out of over 50 ministries. So the whole southeast, that is supposed to be with the biggest population in the country, in rightful statistics, figures. Now, why is Bianca always found in what? Because a person who see or who shared or who sustains the vision and the values of her husband as a woman ordinarily should have rejected such an appointment. Bianca is a lawyer. She is learned. Why would everything around her be surrounded with, when you look at it, you will say betrayal of her husband's cause? The question that was thrown to her by the interviewer was owing to the fact that they have been watching her movements, which looks, or which one can easily say it is that of a person, of a woman who betrays the cause of her husband. Bianca Ojukwu. Why would you allow yourself to give this kind of disservice to what our veteran, our warlord, our papa stands for? What would have Ojukwu, what did you think Ojukwu would have done to Nnamdi Kanu and his case? You paid a lip service a couple of months ago. Oh, releasing Nnamdi Kanu, releasing Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu have been going to court. You never surfaced, you never interfered, you have never interceded, you only releasing Nnamdi Kanu. Releasing Nnamdi Kanu. Now, it was rumored late last year that you accepted an appointment and you were given assignment to do as a condition for that appointment. And that condition was, what you did not know was intended to mock your personality, to rate you as a worthless and valueless person. That you are going to accept an appointment to go against what your husband championed. You are going to help them destroy Simon Ekpa. This Simon Ekpa is a young man whom life was very fair to. Was doing well on his own as a young man, flourishing, but because he had to accept a call to serve his people. Since you walked out for the arrest of Simon Ekpa, you are from Ngo originally before Ojukwu came for you. In your community at Ngo, how many times have Fulani terrorists attacked Ngo forest or communities and nearby communities? How many times did you come out to condemn it? your colleagues in the Nigerian politics, especially the Mbak Peter, who is in the office without the people's will. What has he done? What have you done to stop the increasing pace of Fulani terrorists annihilating people from your communities? What has been your effort after collecting this appointment? Yet, the man you accepted an appointment to help the government of Nigeria end him or halt his activities, which was aimed at giving security to the people your husband vowed or used his life to protect. You allowed yourself to be an instrument in the hands of the enemy. Since the capture or arrest of Simon Ekpa, didn't you see how the news that you receive every day about Igbo communities, especially Enugu, where you hail from, have been an everyday news? The spread of insecurity, the spread of annihilating and reducing the people, original owners of Enugu communities into refugees in their own land. They are now reduced to the rank and status of internally displaced persons. What have you done after that appointment? What will you tell your husband when you meet her finally? Is that how you were raised? Because we know about the life of Caroline, Chief Mrs. Caroline. Chief Mrs. Caroline never allowed herself to be used or found or heard going against what Chief Barrister, His Excellency, now of blessed memory, Christian Chukwuma Unu, stood for. She never allowed herself to go against those things the man stood for. Why you? Why you? Since that appointment, your people have been facing a very serious threat of annihilation. Intention of the Fulani terrorists to annihilate your communities have been growing since you accepted that appointment and since you helped them carry the task. Finnish people have to listen to all these things because it was Simon's own Igbo brothers that were writing these petitions. You allowed yourself to be used to carry out this dreaded task. You shared a story. You shared a story of how your husband was robbed or was attacked or confronted in the odd hours of the night on the road, on the lonely road, by armed robbers, very well armed. And you shared what happened. The mention of the name Ojukwu, all of them were quivering. When they shone the torchlight on his face and saw it was Chief Dean, all of them began to postulate. They began to postulate with their faces down. They began to chant Ojukwu's heroism. Now you ask yourself, if it were to be your father, Sisi Ono, just like the current Enugu governor, Mbak Peter, and his contemporaries, if it were to be them that were found on the odd hours of the night on the lonely road, alone, even with their orderly security details, what do you think would have become of them? I am asking this because you are running so desperately to go into the world of politics, to occupy, to become the same thing like these our politicians, but you are the one making reference to what happened between the armed robbers and our warlord, our veteran, our father, who is so beloved, Chief Dim Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu of blessed memory. You are sharing what happened between him and the armed robbers. Please join me to see what Bianca shared about her husband and the armed robbers. Please watch. Before you watch, make sure you hit on the like button. Drop your comment responsibly and make sure you share this video that many other lovers of freedom and seekers of justice, people of clear mind, will also watch with you. And by so doing, YouTube algorithm will help us get this video more pronounced. So let us go there. Let's watch Bianca.
Traveling back, and then they ran into armed robbers. And the armed robbers, because they had a roadblock, the driver had to stop. And then suddenly, these hefty-looking men with the guns and rifles stepped out from the dark and came to the vehicle and barked sternly, "Get down." He refused to get down. And then the man said, "If you don't get down, I'm going to shoot you. Who the hell do you think you are?" And he said, "I am Ojukwu." And the man got a torch, shone the torch into his face, and screamed excitedly, "Ah, Oga! Ah, na our Oga! Na our Oga!" And so many of the robbers that were actually still inside the bush rushed out.
All right, you are welcome back. Bianca, man, were you not happy sharing this story? Do you think that if you are not covered by the grace of your late husband, did you think you will be having all this kind of peace? Anywhere you come, you slapped the wife of the former Anambra governor, Willie Obiano's wife. You went scot-free. Another person wouldn't have done that and go scot-free. Did you think it was because you were a beauty pageant? No. Or did you think it was because you are the daughter of Sisi Ono? No. Sisi Ono have so many other children. I think you were six of you. You have 6 of you. Your sister got appointment to, is it Namibia? Sometimes on the influence of yourself of the influence of Ojukwu. Now you are sharing this story. Didn't it occur to you that you are treading on a wrong path? Did Ojukwu come to this level, this status, that armed robbers who are blood-sucking will see him, instead of giving him the treatment they give to every other person that comes their way? They began to bow, prostrate. They began to sing his songs, sing his chants. They began to praise him. They began to pour extolling blandishments of his ingenuity, rare ingenuity, his achievement, that are obviously selfless. And the person that asked you, the interviewer asked you before, what did you think would have become Ojukwu's position on Nnamdi Kanu? You know why he asked you that? He related to this your story now, related to what happened between Owazurike and your husband, and related to this your story now, how a whole armed robbers will begin to prostrate. Do you know why he asked you again? Because he, Ojukwu, he, the interviewer, knows that that same treatment that was given to Ojukwu, more of that treatment will be given to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. If armed robbers see Nnamdi Kanu on the road in the northern Nigeria and robbers in the west, you can see that lawyers from Gombe State, where you have Governor Dankwambo, governors from Bauchi, lawyers are advocating to be in Nnamdi Kanu's legal team on free service. That the DSS said they will not allow Nnamdi Kanu to go to prison. Why? Because if you allow him to go to prison, he will mix up with many other prisoners, and they, all of them will begin to get converted to begin to share in his in vision, because of selflessness, the sincerity of his cause, of his purpose. How many times did you see Nnamdi Kanu, even all the attempts by the oppressors to woo him into condemning Simon Ekpa? But the same Ojukwu's cause, you are here preaching about Ojukwu being a Democrat, is declaring a republic, or is going to war with a country an act of democracy? Nnamdi Kanu and Ojukwu, your husband, who would you say is more a Democrat? Your husband rightfully led us to fight for our right to defend ourselves, which was a necessary evil. What did Nnamdi Kanu do? Nnamdi Kanu clamored for referendum, which is the right of every people to decide what and where they belong. This is what is contained in the first chapter of the United Nations Charter. Every people have the right. So who is more a Democrat? Is it not the same allow us to decide our fate that Simon Ekpa continued to chant? That while they are chanting, allow us to decide our fate, they were surrounded with guns and were bullied and massacred on daily basis only for them to make complaints. And them saying we cannot keep staking our heads without making any attempt to defend ourselves. We cannot allow our forests to be occupied by bandits and terrorists from all the Fulani settlement, wherever they are coming from. That we cannot continue to surrender our heads to be chopped off. Then thus they picked arms to defend themselves. They began to advocate, encourage their people to defend themselves. So what is undemocratic about it? According to your response, what is undemocratic about it? Did you think Ojukwu would want to accept an offer to betray his brother for political gain's sake? You betrayed a sister of yours. You would have rejected, you were supposed to reject the offer. If the government of Nigeria wants to honor Ojukwu family, want to honor Bianca, they were supposed to give you another appointment. They were supposed to give you another. It wasn't, of course, they were supposed to give you something, but because they see you as a willing tool, they saw you as a desperado. Insincerity is nothing that can be hidden for too long. Releasing Nnamdi Kanu, releasing Nnamdi Kanu, and that was the end of it. People from Yoruba land were serious, resilient, calling for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. In the court, last time you saw a Yoruba well-dressed man with his family appeared in the court in solidarity with Nnamdi Kanu. You saw Sowore, you saw all other people. They came to stand with Nnamdi Kanu. That person asking you in that media chat, the question in that media chat, is standing with Nnamdi Kanu. but you are finding a way. No, is it not appointment? It will still be over. It will still be over. Why not go home and ask yourself, how will my husband feel in his grave that I am allowing myself as a willing tool in the hands of the people he fought against to save his people? And you are standing with those people to fight against the people your husband sacrificed everything to save. Did you not know that your husband's family were the richest family in fact, his father was the richest man in the whole of West Africa, by the reason of being the richest man in Nigeria, and of course, entire Africa? Did you not know that his father once rejected him for not coming to maintain his wealth, rather choosing to go into a course that is his people oriented, other than parochial wealth expansionism or personal building of a dynasty? You are an opposite, a direct opposite of your husband. Shamefully enough, you are not stopping. You continue to push hard to please the oppressors, same people your husband staked everything to fight against and to preserve his people. Go home and think about this, Bianca. Maybe our sister Nezeville will spare us so much of the trumpet of you that she blew, and probably find or make out a time in one of her videos to call you to these things in a stylish way that will not incite her against the Nigerian state, but she will do it stylishly to be safe. For today, I am the one trying to show you or tell you the truth. You have been treading on the wrong path. You need to repent. This is not what your husband stands for. It is against the standpoint of your husband, our Lord, our veteran, our father, Chief Dim Chukwuemeka Ojukwu. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your time, all who watched this program. Please, like I pleaded before, do good to share this program. Do good to hit on the like button. But importantly, make sure you are dropping your comments responsibly. Don't sound abusive. You can still make your point without abusing or insulting anyone. At least Bianca cannot say I insulted her, but I only spoke truth to power. I only said things as they are. Thank you till we come again. Bye for now.